Hi, my name is Jennifer, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to solve quadratic equations using the completing the square method. So grab a pencil and some paper and work through these examples with me. Let's take a look at our first example. We have y squared plus 4y minus 1 equals 0. Notice that we cannot factor this trinomial when we're like before, because there's not a number that multiplies to -1 and adds to +4. So we're going to have to use another method. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use the completing the square method. When a quadratic equation is in standard form, it's in descending order. The y squared, then the y term, then the constant equal to 0. This is a standard form for a quadratic. The coefficients of each of those terms correspond to an alphabet letter. The coefficient of the first term is A. The coefficient of the second term is B. And the coefficient of the third term is C. Next, now we're going to go through the steps of completing the square. Step number 1 is we are going to move C to the other side. So we'll have y squared plus 4y equals, and we're going to add 1 to both sides. Now notice I left a space in between the 4y and the 1 and the equal sign because we're about to complete the square. That means we're going to add another number to this trinomial so that it's called a perfect square trinomial, and that would make it much easier to factor and for us to solve this problem. So here's how to find out what number we're going to add to both sides. We're going to take our b value, which in this problem is a 4. We're going to divide our b value in half and square it. So for this problem, we'll take our b value, which is a 4. We'll divide 4 in half, which is 2. We'll square 2, which is 4. So for this problem, we're going to add a 4 to both sides. Now, what we have done over here with this trinomial is we have created a perfect square trinomial. Perfect square trinomials can factor. Remember, a perfect square trinomial, if the first term and the last term are perfect squares, and the middle term is the square root of the first term times the square root of the second term times 2, which it is, because this square root of y squared is y. The square root of 4 is 2. And then remember, if it's an add or subtract sign, that's what's going to be in our answer. So to factor y squared plus 4y plus 4, it factors into y plus 2 quantity squared equals 1 plus 4, which is 5. We're almost done. Now that we've completed the square and we factored it, it looks a lot like a problem where we use the square root property. So that's what we're going to do to finish the problem. We'll take the square root of both sides. The square root symbol cancels with the exponent of 2, leaving y plus 2 equals plus or minus square root of 5. One more step is we'll subtract 2 from both sides. That leaves us with -2 plus or minus radical 5 as your final answer. Okay, let's try one more example using the completing the square method. Let's take a look at x squared minus 8x minus 2 equals 0. And remember, the letters that go with our coefficient when the problem is in descending order. The coefficient of the x squared term is a, the coefficient of the x term is b, and then the constant is c when it's equal to 0. So let's begin. The first step when you're completing the square is to move the constants, the c, to the other side. It's a minus 2, so we'll add 2 to both sides. So we have x squared minus 8x. I'm going to leave a space because I'm about to put a new number here, equals 2. Next, we want to add a number to both sides so that this trinomial on the left is a perfect square trinomial. And here's how we do that. We're going to take our coefficient b, we're going to divide it by 2, and then we're going to square that number. In this problem, we have a minus 8. Minus 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. So we will add positive 16 to both sides. Once we've added our number to both sides, over here we've created a perfect square trinomial where the first term and the last term are perfect numbers and the middle term is the square root of both terms times 2, which is our middle term. It will factor to the square root of the first term, which is x, the square root of the last term, which is 4, and it takes the sign from the first sign in the trinomial, which was a minus, so this will be a minus. And that will be quantity squared equals 2 plus 16, which is 18. Now we're ready to finish this problem using the square root property. We'll take the square root of both sides. Over here, we have x minus 4. And over here, we have plus or minus square root of 18. Now, we'll add 4 to both sides. To get x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 18. Because 18 has a perfect square number inside, we really should take one more extra step to simplify the square root of 18. If you remember, if you need to make a little factor tree, 18 is 2 times 9, 3 times 3. So you can see there's a pair of 3's in there. So a better way to write the square root of 18 is 3 radical 2. So your final answer to this problem is 4 plus or minus 3 radical 2. If you have any other questions about completing the square, please contact your professor or stop by the Math Tutoring Lab or watch this video again.